tremendous looking trophy.
Hello, and a Platinum Explosion, number one PlayStation podcast in the Oceanias. My name's John Blight. Joining me, as always, Ashley Hobley.
Dylan, excited to be here on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth Eve. True,
actually, this comes out Wednesday, so yeah, it is the eve of Final Fantasy Rebirth. Have you booked your leave?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
Who can afford to do that?
Who can afford to play video games?
In this economy.
You know what? None of you should play Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. You should save your dollars and invest it in Bitcoin, in dog money,
avocados. Yeah, that's where the real money is.
That's where the real money is. All right, this week on the show in the trophy cabinet, a gold trophy for a PlayStation Portal sounds better than expected, and we hit a platinum for Xbox game running better on PlayStation and Xbox. Put this story in just to get Ash's trunks wet. I don't know. Let's start with the PlayStation Portal story. So, Push Square says PlayStation executive has revealed in a new interview with GameFile that the handheld PS Portal device is proving a lot more popular in the company than expected. Hiromi Wakai, the VP Production Management, explained demand has continued to exceed our expectations, end quote. Sony is now focusing its efforts in quote unquote shipping more units consistently. Demand for the device has far outweighed the amount of stock retailers can offer since its November 2023 launch. That's American, of course. So Sony will, quote, continue to bring more units to the market, and, quote, as quickly as it can. In an interview, Wakai admits that the PlayStation Portal, quote, was intended to be a product best suited for people with specific needs and those who want to play it in a specific way, end quote. So initial reactions upon its announcement were matched what Sony was expecting. To speak of the increased demand after launch, Wakai theorized early adopters are spreading a positive word about the device to others. This adds up to sort of Australian market, I think, as well. It's sold out. I've heard it's sold out like a lot of places, a lot of stores and stuff like that. Again, we've sort of spoke about the weird success of this, especially since we talk shit on it. Especially I talk shit on it for a while here. Do you continue to be surprised with how well it's doing around the world? Considering it's literally a device like an overpriced, like very expensive screen with a controller.
No, I think, I thought it would do solidly because obviously it's a PlayStation branded product and people want to have everything PlayStation. There is definitely an audience of people who want to be playing video games either in bed or, while their partner or kids are watching TV, or doing something else on the TV, so they can't use that. So, I mean, it's not super surprising. There's probably a large segment of those sales as well that is also people who assume that, they buy this, they can just play their games whenever they want. At the same time, they don't realize what it actually is, and they just bought it thinking it was what they wanted it to be. So, I'm sure that makes up a significant portion of the sales. But yeah, I mean, good for PlayStation. They hit with this one, I guess, people like dedicated devices for certain things,
It's true. I mean, yeah, I'm still using mine. In fact, this past week, I've been using mine to play a bunch of Resistance Retribution a few times. I think I mentioned last week that game was dropping. I was like, yeah, I might check that out because I had fond memories of playing it on the PSP. And just like I played probably 10, 15 minutes on my TV, like here. And it was just
said, this is wrong.
Well, it's like I'm playing a PSP game. It just, like it just...
Yeah, the nostalgia isn't hitting quite right.
No, it's not.
What I need is it to be looking down at the screen.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't want it in front of my face. I want it where I have to move my neck down.
I want it below my nose, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, I mean, actually, it's been above my head a lot because a lot of times I've been like, I might just go like lay on the couch. Especially there was a hot day where I was like, right under the air conditioner sounds like a good idea. Like, get that cool breeze, and I was just laying just playing above my head. So, but yeah, it's for stuff like that. And again, it's like hard to be like, man, high selling point for this device is that you can you have to spend $300 or whatever it is for this, $329 for this, and then spend $700 on a console. But then you too can experience playing a PSP
anywhere in your house,
anywhere in your house, anywhere you want to play it. So, yeah, it's. I mean, there's some little things like that.
How many people do you think are taking the portals to the bathroom?
I assume a lot, surely, right?
Probably. Bunch of dads trying to hide from the kids. Right?
Yeah, they probably just keep it in there.
Yeah, just in a corner.
Yeah, just keep it in there and
hidden cabinet.
Yeah, just hidden cabinet and a shelf. I don't know. As long as it's always charged, whip it out. Connect up.
Just
boot
whip
up.
out that portal.
Also, as my continued weeks with this go, the connection, and I don't know how or why this sort of stuff. Like, I don't understand like network stuff enough to make sense of this, but it does definitely work so much better within your own home, which I struggle to understand because like if I connect it outside of home and I hotspot off my connection off my phone, which is 5G, and I know the speeds are really good, like the upload and download speeds of my 5G connection are really good, yet the stability of the connection isn't anywhere near as good connected to the Wi-Fi within my own home. And I'm like, is that just because it is connected to the exact same
probably
network? Yeah.
It's like there's multiple steps, and each of those steps is going to affect it in some way.
I guess that's just what it is.
Just
like
no matter whatever. I guess
no matter how good your 5G or whatever Wi-Fi connection is, if it's not the same one that your PlayStation is connecting to, it's just not going to be.
It's not going to be perfect.
It's not going to be as good. Yeah. So that's been an interesting thing, but it's a surprise hit. Definitely a surprise hit. Even continue to be shocked with how much I'm using it. Did
you see that apparently the portal's been hacked?
Yeah, so people actual running PSP or Vita games or something on it.
PSP, natively.
Yep.
Off it, which is interesting to me because it's how much hard drive space is in there? Can't be a lot. You would think it would just be the maximum amount to get things to run the software.
16 gig? I don't know. Yeah.
Just because it's like you're not saving files or anything on there, so you don't really need space. It's just, I guess, enough space to download updates to it.
I mean, I didn't look into it enough to have people like added in something to like add an SD card. I don't think so. Okay, interesting. This is one of those things where I see the news headline and go, "Yeah, that's that was bound to happen." But
I mean, it happened very quickly because the Vita was like known for being unbreakable for years. It's been less than 6 months. I guess they just didn't expect people would try on a device that doesn't have any hard drive space.
Seems a bit dumb. Like, I don't know. Like, who's spending $329 on this to hack it to play PSP games natively? That seems dumb.
I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg. You put PSP games on there, then you put every other emulator you possibly can on there. You would imagine.
Yeah. But in this day and age where there's so many handheld consoles like that can just do whatever.
Yeah, when you've got the ROG deck, which you can easily
just put whatever emulator you want on it as long as it can be installed on Windows. Like, is it as exciting?
No, probably not.
Not really.
It's not a PlayStation.
Yeah. I mean, technically, you can install a fucking, like, I'm sure someone's tried, but I'm like, you could just buy a ROG deck and you can install, like, a Wii emulator on it and just play Wii games out and about.
You don't have the PlayStation controller sides on it,
I guess.
PlayStation branding.
When you can Bluetooth to that thing, so you could just Bluetooth a DualSense controller to it? Like,
it's not one piece.
It's just a portable. Okay. All right.
There you go. Well, two of the people who do the remote play controllers for your phone.
Backbone.
Yeah, Backbone. Put PlayStation controllers on this ROG deck.
On the ROG deck,
yeah.
Not like it's
make
already
it even bigger.
Bigger and chunky enough as it is. Yeah.
Yeah, make it bigger.
I can make it bigger. All right. PlayStation blog now. We have news of the first big free Spider-Man update that's coming to PS5 on March 7th. Over on the blog, James Stevenson writes, Marvel Spider-Man 2 version 1.002 will bring New Game Plus to the game. We know many of you have been eager to replay the game on a hard difficulty with all your suits and abilities carrying over. Or perhaps you just want to replay your favorite mission or two. You can do that too. And there's more to unlock with ultimate levels, golden gadget styles, and more. So there's a bunch of accessibility updates also coming, audio descriptions, screen reader, stuff like that, which is cool. And there's a bunch of updates coming to the photo mode. So that's a fly and fresh suit pack, which includes a fly suit for Peter, fresh suit for Miles, 10 photo mode stickers, 2 photo mode frames. Sure. Are you gonna? Do you want to jump back in, play the game at all? Do you want to go back and replay the level select thing? Go back and replay any of the levels. That's a pretty cool thing for an open world game. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely something people wanted. I don't know if there's any trophies that you would need, to go back and that for, because everything was pretty good. But yeah, I'm sure there's cool moments you'd want to possibly go back and play, outside of just the opening, bunch of the Venom fights and that kind of thing, That'd be cool. The Kraven fight, the Mars versus Peter, Those kind of, a bunch of the Mr. Negative stuff I like, probably, but that was a cool segment. Let me play that again. So that's cool. Interesting that, that DLC is paid DLC, the Fresh and Fly.
Yeah, it's content. Like a collab or whatever.
It's a collab. All the money is going to charity, so I mean that helps. But it's still paid DLC.
Just some costumes, though. So
I don't think I've seen any backlash, but I think
I think because it's for charity. Like, how do you backlash?
Yeah, it's like, how can you can't be too upset about that. So
you get New Game Plus and everything for free. So
yeah, I mean it's cool. I mean, I'm sure they just wanted to put it out as soon as it was ready, but it could be better timing. If you're in a perfect world, you'd be like, hey, just put all the accessibility stuff out now. But this New Game Plus and stuff, let's just wait like a month or two till we're in a bit of a lull. We don't have any major releases, and then we go Spider-Man 2, replay it.
Or Final Fantasy.
Days before Final Fantasy.
It's fine. It's days after Final Fantasy, actually. You've got time to beat it.
Oh, okay. So I got time to beat.
Yeah, you've got time to beat it.
I put my 30 to 100 hours in before.
Yeah, easy. You got like a good, 3-4 days?
Yeah.
Easy. Get good.
They don't allow ultimate levels. They mentioned golden gadgets and ultimate levels. It doesn't specify.
They
what
don't really
are.
expand on that. No. All I want to know is what new trophies they had.
That's a good point. So,
New Game Plus? Anything for these golden gadgets? That's all I care about, It's shockingly. Shout out to this comment though. This is my favorite comment I've seen in a while. From someone you scroll down, in the top comment is there going to be any story DLC for Spider-Man 2? All those loose story threads meant for a future game. Want to know so I can sell my disc off. Thanks. And then someone replied and said, okay, I have to ask, do you really expect them to reply to your comment with a huge announcement like DLC, or are you trolling? They replied, they're like, yeah, don't worry, we've got DLC on the way. Don't sell off your disc yet. Fucking hell.
Just you could probably buy it back, later. This DLC.
It'll be on PS Plus by then. Fucking chill out. You need to sell it that bad to buy your pizzas? Do that.
Listen, don't talk down about people selling off their games so they can buy their next game. People work in the system for every dollar and dime that possibly can. Those people put in work.
Yeah. Don't Don't know anyone that would do that. Don't know what you're talking about. Until Dawn developer Supermassive is reorganizing and laying off a quarter of its staff. Continues the news of layoffs into 2023. Press Start Riot, Supermassive Games, the studio behind beloved Until Dawn, The Dark Pictures of Mythology, and The Little Nightmares 3, and the casting of Frank Stone, has announced that it's undergoing a quote-unquote reorganization in the face of current industry challenges. In doing so, it will be laying off a portion of its staff, a number that Blameberg claims is around 90 of its total workforce of around 350. The studio has reportedly informed 150 staff that their jobs could be on the line and counted amongst those 90 layoffs. And while no figures were given publicly, Supermassive has issued the following statement on social media. Quote, "It's no secret that the games industry is currently facing significant challenges, and unfortunately, we aren't immune to this. After much deliberation and with deep regret, we are therefore undertaking a reorganization of Supermassive Games. As a result, we are entering into a period of consolidation, which we anticipate, same thing really, I guess, which we anticipate will result in the loss of some of our colleagues. This is not a decision that has been taken lightly, with many efforts made to avoid this outcome. We're all too aware of how unsettling and difficult this process is going to be for our employees, and we'll be working closely with all those involved to ensure the process is conducted as respectfully and compassionately as possible." My only problem, well, no, I got many problems with this, but the number one thing, I'm just very confused how, what was it, like 2-3 weeks ago, they're like, we're turning the game into a movie and we're doing a remaster of the game.
Yep.
Now we're laying off 90 people. I just don't follow the...
But the money hasn't come in yet.
I know, but like who gets the money from
I don't think they're doing the remaster. I think it's somebody else.
Okay, well, where's their money from the movie deal? I don't know, like...
The movie hasn't been made yet. And I assume, Sony probably owns the
Sony
IP, would be my guess.
all the
so
money,
I assume they get all the money.
And if they get all the money, that's ridiculous.
I'm sure there's some sort of royalties, but you have to actually make money off the movie first before you get the royalties.
I guess, but that's... I don't know. It's just one of those things where layoffs are one thing. But when I swear every layoff currently follows, like, hey, we're making the biggest money we've ever made. Xbox, woo! Also, we're firing a bunch of people. Hey, we can land in a movie deal, woo! Also, we're going to let a bunch of people go. I don't know, like, it just seems to be a constant.
Get the good news out first, and then the bad news after. It looks bad if it's the other way around.
Apparently, I don't understand business,
Apparently.
Yeah, well, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's disappointing. People continuing to lose jobs, I think we had a pretty solid couple of weeks where there wasn't massive layoff stories. But there was this one. I think another studio had layoffs today. So yeah, it's not fantastic. But probably not super surprising. I mean, I don't think the Dark Pictures games that they've been putting out have been doing great numbers from what I understand, or like just from from impact of their release. I didn't see many people talking about the last one that came out, so I don't think the numbers have been fantastic. And I'm sure there were delays in the release of on their next couple of projects because of COVID and all that kind of stuff. So I guess they just came to the decision that they couldn't afford to keep everybody, or they're just trying to restructure the company in the best way they possibly can for the future of the company. And Supermassive felt like a studio that would grow very quickly, organically, but really quickly. So I mean, maybe they finally reached a point where they're we need to slow down and figure out what we're going to do.
Yeah, well, 90 people though, still. It's a lot.
Yeah,
out of 350.
I mean, unfortunately, it's just a drop in the bucket, really, of all the people who've been laid off in the last 18 months. So,
I wonder if what if they're like last year? I think it like capped out like 8 or 9,000, whatever it was, which is a lot. I wonder if like this year's already, yeah. So hold on, 2023. No, 2023 there was 10,500 estimated, right? 10,500. Yep. This year already up to 6,100, and we're in February.
Yep,
that is wild. Absolutely wild. The other studio using of was Daigut Fabric, the Mutazone people.
Yeah.
I don't think they shut down though. It's just,
no, I think
they. Yeah, something. I got to read more into it. I'd focus on getting notes this time, but. All right. Funny little story coming from Push Square. In an unexpected turn of events, it's been discovered that Pentiment actually runs better on PS5 than the Xbox Series X due to a bug that's allowing the game to run at 120 frames per second. The feature is currently disabled on Microsoft's own console due to a glitch, but this will likely fix in an upcoming patch. So the PS5 version of a Microsoft-published game temporarily runs better than what's available on Xbox. That's the world we now live in. Of course, given Pentiment is a 2D side-scrolling game that's playable at a pretty slow pace, being able to play 120 frames per second instead of 60 isn't exactly game-changing. Still, it's an update that might as well be implemented by developer Obsidian Entertainment and will soon be available on Xbox Series X systems. That's very funny to me. I thought you'd find that funny.
No, we don't need more frames. Why are you putting more frames of your Xbox stuff on PlayStation?
The top
They're making up for lost time and putting more frames of the Xbox content onto PlayStation, getting as many frames as they can in while they can. You know? Again, Pentiment. Do you really want to be playing Pentiment at 120 frames per second?
Yeah, maybe you can get through the game faster. Maybe get through the game faster.
Difference does it make? Absolutely none. You know? Overpowering your PlayStation for nothing. You know? They're trying to destroy it from the inside. You know? Overworking your PlayStation, doing all these unnecessary frames. So eventually,
it is definitely unnecessary frames to this game. But the part that confuses me with this story is where they're like, it's a bug on Xbox. I'm like, hasn't the game been out for like a solid year plus at this point? Like, why isn't the bug stopping it from hitting 120 frames per second being fixed by now?
Because it doesn't need to hit 120 frames per second. You know, it wasn't a bug; it was a safety barrier. You know, stopping your console from going off the rails. All these unnecessary frames.
Okay. How many frames is a good amount of frames, Ash?
30 frames. You know, that's all you need. You know. I would say 60 at the maximum, you know?
60 at the maximum.
You know? You want to pretend that your eyes can take in 120 frames per second? Bullshit. Unnecessary.
They can with if I put 2 pairs of glasses on.
Think your eyes can take in 4 times the necessary amount of frames?
Easy.
Crazy.
All right, let's have this stuff.
And all the Pentiment, all the frames are the same. It's 120 frames of the exact same thing.
What do you mean?
Because they don't move around, really.
Yeah, they do. You move like a
little bit.
Yeah.
Most of the time, you're just standing there reading text. You're just reading that text at 120 frames per second.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
Well, that's the way I read books.
You read books at 120 frames per second.
I do.
Pretty sure you just read books at 1 frame per second.
I'm pretty sure I read books at 120 frames per second.
Maybe 2 if you switch the pages.
And I listen to audiobooks at times 2 speed. All right, so.
Okay, 2 frames per second. That's it. I'll give you that. You know, when you're flipping the page.
Yeah. You're just jealous. Press Start writes, leaked footage of LittleBigPlanet has appeared online. LittleBigPlanet, a free-to-play live service take on an adorable PlayStation platformer series that was announced over 10 years ago and then never saw the light of day, has popped back into the conversation thanks to a video showing working footage of an early build via the game. 7 minutes of footage available on YouTube currently. and features the familiar voice work of series regular Stephen Fry narrating a tutorialized section of the game. The footage was reportedly recorded in 2013, presumably under an NDA that's no longer that's long since expired or is no longer relevant. The footage also showcases the game's online and community-focused elements, some of which would later be folded into 2014 Sumo Digital developed LittleBigPlanet 3 and 2020 Sackboy: A Big Adventure. According to a follow-up from the poster of the footage, the beta build is still downloadable for those with access, and said build has seemingly since been archived and dumped into the internet as well. It's interesting, as press start continues, it's interesting to think that Sony was testing the waters of a live version of one of its biggest franchises long before its more recent public eyeing off of live service pie, only to wind up canning it, much like it has with the Last of Us multiplayer project. If anything, LittleBigPlanet would have, and still could, lend itself quite comfortably to the concept with its support for user-generated content and plethora of potential Sackboy cosmetics. I always wonder, it's always interesting when stuff like this pops up and you're like, it's crazy. I mean, it's not crazy because we live in a world where there's a whole fucking that Acme movies, Warner Brothers just shoves shit into oblivion. But like, it's always, you know, when you see like stuff, if you flick through the footage, it's just it looks like it's a game. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, how come? What was the? At what point was this like? Nah, we're good.
No,
let's just. Well, I think
video games is littered with things like this.
You know, I know
they so than probably any in the industry. But yeah, it looked like they kind of reused a whole bunch of stuff for LittleBigPlanet 3. So I mean, it didn't all go to waste. But you know, a live service, free to play LittleBigPlanet would have been interesting. I mean, I don't know how you sustain free to play outside of, you know, you have to buy stickers and costumes and that kind of stuff, which would have.
I think that would have done it all though.
I mean, it would have done solidly, but I think people would have been, you know, especially at the time, people would have been upset about having to pay for all these costumes and that kind of stuff.
They had a lot of costume packs for LittleBigPlanet 1 and 2 on sale, and no one ever cared and blinked an eye.
But yeah, you look at the success of something like Mario Maker, and you go, LittleBigPlanet could have done big numbers. I'm sure a big consideration was like, man, how are we going to, you know, curate, you know, all these levels that people are making and that kind of stuff, you know? How are we going to how are we going to take all these penises out of these levels, you know? True. Stop people from making penises and boobs and that kind of stuff. And Nazi symbols. Yeah.
That's that's the continue what people have to continue working on throughout their whole lives, stopping those things.
Yeah.
How do you feel, just before we round up and on the same topic, I think I've seen a few people bring up the topic, including recently on Kind of Funny, around is Helldivers a sign that Sony's push into live service is a positive choice?
Well, I've been on the side of let's wait till we actually see what the actual games are, you know? Everybody just hears the words live service and they're like, this is going to be shit. This is terrible. We don't want this. You know, but then you get an example of a live service game like Helldivers, which, you know, is clearly focused and has a clear vision of what it wants to be and like that kind of stuff. And it's been a massive success. So, you know, let's just wait and see what these live service games actually are. And don't automatically assume they're no fun or bad or that kind of stuff. So, yeah, that is my opinion. Also dispute the fact that people have said that the reason Last of Us multiplayer was shut down is because it was no fun. I'm still firmly of the belief that, you know, it just got too big and and Naughty Dog did not want to work on a live service game for the next 10 years. That's why it stopped.
The only thing that I keep thinking about with Helldivers is, so they spend, what was it, like 7, 8 years,
yeah,
working on the game. You then release the game and go, well, we're now working on this for what, another 5 years?
Potentially.
Because it's like a live service thing? Like, fuck, hopefully. That's a long time working on one game.
I mean, people have been working on the Destiny games for like
True.
We're working on the Destiny games for a long time.
Yeah.
Okay.
You really have to be like
with, you know, World of Warcraft, that people have been working on that game for since the beginning, you know?
Hmm.
Fortnite, I'm sure there's people who still be working since the beginning of when they ripped off something. I know. When they ripped off PUBG, yeah.
Yeah. Fucking hell. All right. That'll do it for this week's episode of Platinum Explosion. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter, explosionnetwork.com/Twitter. You can join our Discord, explosionnetwork.com/Discord. You can support the show by heading it over to Ko-fi, explosionnetwork.com/support, or check out explosionnetwork.com for everything else that's happening over there. All news, reviews, podcasts, and fun stuff. And until next week, remember that every trophy does indeed count.